Emily. How
Hey,
are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. So everyone who's watching knows this is Emily Rose. She is the owner of Feel Good Naked. She has a master's in public health and she's super passionate about female pleasure. So this is going to be a fun interview for sure. Super excited to have you, girl. So just to kind of jump right into it, I mean, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so, in my business, obviously, thanks for the intro, April, and thanks for having me. First of all, what you're doing here is really awesome. So
Thank you.
thank you for bringing us all together.
Of course.
So in my business, I'm helping women embrace their natural desires, including but not exclusively erotic desires, so that they can reach their highest potential. Um,
Nice.
yeah, it's been an awesome ride.
So, how did you get into that? Like, tell us all the details. Because the point of this summit is really for like the woman who hasn't been able to tap into what her real desire is, for her life, for her career, and kind of what you're talking about, just like internally. So, like, what brought you to this point in your life?
Well, that is a really, really, really incredible purpose for this summit because it is really like has been the driving force of my life and something that I've really had to prioritize. So I started my entrepreneur journey from a corporate job. I was 4 years in a corporate job after getting my master's. And I mean, it was a meaningful job. It was working in oncology. So I was managing oncology clinics and like that's obviously, really meaningful and good work. However, it wasn't aligned with my passion.
Mm.
And it was still, corporate life. I was living life on the hamster wheel. Life was always hectic. There wasn't really any time for myself, but I didn't feel like I was having the impact on the world that I wanted to leave behind, something that was really, really profound and passionate for me,
Yeah.
which obviously is to be working with women and in women's interests and topics. And so I knew that I had to take control of my life if I wanted anything different. No one was going to do it for me. So that was a that was a really difficult decision to make. But finally I quit my job. I took that leap of faith. And what it came down to was trusting myself that I could accomplish whatever I wanted to do, that I could start my own business and make it happen.
Yeah.
Um, there was no one else that was going to hold my hand through it. No one that was going to do it for me. I had to trust myself. And it took me a long time to get there, but I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I started my business, Feel Good Naked, actually originally as a nutrition coach. So of course, with a master's of public health, my focus has always been on health and wellness. And at the time I was, so I studied with precision nutrition. I definitely think that health and wellness and exercise and feeling good in your body, all these things are really important. And so it was an interest of mine, and definitely something that I think people need to prioritize in their lives. So that's where I started, and I was doing that for about a year and a half. And then I realized, after some circumstances, actually, which ended up being working with an energy coach and then having a really bad accident that just like kind of woke me up to life.
Oh, wow.
I realized that I had been playing it safe in my business. Like I was coaching on nutrition and fitness, and that was cool and important. And my clients were getting great results, but there was something missing. I wasn't really tapped into my true passion and purpose. And the reason that I wasn't was because I was terrified of it.
Mm.
I was terrified of going to the place of talking about female pleasure and desire because it was the one thing that has kept me small my whole life. By
Wow.
not fully embracing that part of me and accepting it, I was suppressing many parts of myself. I wasn't showing up as confident in myself as I know I can be. I wasn't fully expressing myself vocally or non-verbally in all areas of my life, at my job, you know, in my relationships. Um, I'm a dancer, so on the stage, like in all parts of my life, I was trying to hide my body because had always been told that female sexuality and pleasure and desire and just, you know, being like comfortable in your body and moving it in all the ways that you want and wearing whatever you want, I was told that those things are not okay. That you're a slut if you look like that, or if you're somehow dirty, you're bad. And so I suppressed it for so long. But when I finally came into that part of myself, I knew that my purpose was to help other women do the same. And that meant, you know, beating my own demons in order to create real change in this world and to help other women come into that parts for themselves. So I ended up shifting my business into desire, into female pleasure, and helping women embrace all parts of themselves.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Which, by the way, I didn't even realize like your background. So that's pretty impressive. And it's so crazy how like unexpected situations that can be honestly perceived to be really bad, like your accident that you mentioned,
Yeah.
being blessings in disguise. So I
Yeah.
really love that message too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of taboo and like judgment around the topic that you talk about. So it's understandable that you would be scared to like take it to the public and like really pursue that. But it's also so inspiring. It's like needed. It's so important.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
I'm really
response
glad.
was overwhelming, which is so awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, and you mentioned obviously you were a health and fitness coach for a while or a nutrition coach. So how do you think like just physical health, because this summit is also to help women get healthy physically as
Yeah.
well as emotionally, mentally. How do you think physical health has like played a role in you really living your life to the fullest and like pursuing your passion?
Yeah. A huge part. I mean, pivotal, absolutely. You can't do anything without it. So, physical health, and that would, you know, come into moving, exercise, and eating well. Those two together, you know, if I haven't exercised in a while, or if I get into a place of anxiety and start binging on sugar, because it's always tied to emotions.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I start binging on sugar, I feel bloated, I feel heavy, I feel like I'm not nearly as productive in my business because my whole body doesn't feel good. So I know for me that exercise, and I do that through dance. So for me, it's also like a stress release because I'm dancing, but I also get to exercise. But maintaining the nutrition part and eating well is such a huge component as well. Like recently when things got stressful, I started getting into this habit of eating late again, just as more of like a stress reliever. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I need some cereal at 11 p.m. Like, no, you don't.
Why is cereal the go-to 11 p.m. snack?
I know.
I do the same thing.
I know. It must be some sort of like childhood memory. I don't know.
Yeah. So funny.
Yeah. So I put a reminder on my phone at 9 p.m. It goes off every day. It says, commit to now for a better tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, because it feels great at the time. Like, yeah, cereal 11 p.m. Okay, that's nice. But then when I wake up bloated and feel heavy and gross the next day, not because I'm like feeling guilty that I had it, it's just physically it doesn't feel good in my body to eat.
Right.
So then the whole next day, like it feels like shit. So that reminder on my phone has helped a lot. So that definitely plays a huge role I've been in nutrition and fitness for like over a decade now in terms of my like working on it for myself. So
Yeah.
it's fairly routine except for like a few moments that get really stressful. So I don't have to think about it too much. But my emotional and mental health is something that I very much have to prioritize and keep at the forefront of my mind, because that is an area where I will easily slip if I'm not really aware of it. So, like the saying goes, old habits die hard. If I'm not really thinking about it, I will unintentionally schedule multiple things or many clients all on the same day, all at the same time. Like basically create a very stressful schedule that doesn't need to be stressful.
Right.
And as an entrepreneur, you have a lot more control over your schedule, how you're managing things. But I found myself once I, became my own boss, that I was unintentionally creating a lot more stress than I needed for myself.
Yeah.
It was like I was repeating this pattern that I just identified as myself, like always on the go, always the overachiever, like you have to do everything all by yourself and all at once, and like, what? There's no deadline for this. I'm superimposing that on myself. I'm creating this stress on myself. No one else is. So I realized that in order to prevent that from happening, I need to know what my triggers are. When my body starts to feel, and that means being very connected to my body. So when my body starts to feel like, when I freeze, when I get a notification on my phone, like, ugh.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting to the point of adrenal overload. Like I'm getting to that place of I'm really stressed out.
Yeah.
If I ignore it, which I've done in the past, if I ignore it and let it keep going and respond to messages as soon as they come in from clients or from friends and family members, whatever, I'm going to get to that place of having panic attacks. So, but it's all under my control. It is absolutely all under my control. So as soon as I get to that place of recognizing, okay, your body is not well.
Yeah.
Then I turn off my phone. I hide it so I can't see it. And
so powerful. Oh my God.
It is. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, exactly. So I'll hide it out of the way and give myself even just a day without it, focusing on something else, going for a walk, doing all those things. And then I feel so much better. But I definitely have to be aware of that and keep it a priority. If not, nothing gets done.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like it's not even just like special for entrepreneurs to do that to themselves in their schedule. It's like, this is like an epidemic for people these days, like constantly being attached to your phone and therefore always feeling needed and wanted and busy. Like you have to respond to everything. Social media, notifications, emails, text messages, like all of it. Yeah. And then add that into like your daily life, like for the mom who's watching this, who just has kids running around, like that in itself is crazy.
Yeah.
Put a job on top of that, and then like, all these stimulus coming at you from your phone and technology. It's like, how do you learn to turn that off? But consciously choosing, like you have to just turn it off and put your phone away. And it's the same thing like I always tell my clients when they're feeling overwhelmed and anxious, you control your calendar. Like even if you work for someone else, even if you're in the corporate job, to a certain extent, you still have control over your calendar, Right. So that's really powerful. And I've recently myself started using airplane mode at night. I'll just turn my phone on airplane mode. I don't necessarily turn it off. And even that is like huge because you're not getting the notifications. You can't go on social media.
Yeah.
It's like nobody uses their phone otherwise.
Right. Yeah. I keep mine on Do Not Disturb for most of the day so that I'm not getting like the messages popping up all the time. It'll just be when I look at my phone. And I have the screen lock or like app lock after 10 p.m. and then
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
open again until 10 a.m. the next day. So it's similar to airplane mode, but my messages, I can still get messages or phone calls. I just like in case of emergency, because emergencies have happened. And so I feel like I need to keep those open.
Oh, okay.
But everything else, you can put that on your phone. At least iPhones have that capability to do
Yeah.
a screen lock or app lock. So you can't access them and you don't see the notifications after a certain time.
Yeah.
So it's
Awesome.
really helpful.
Good tips. Yeah. So, okay. So getting back to what you do now with female pleasure and like really helping women discover like their internal desires and living those out.
Yeah.
Um, what is like your why behind really pursuing this and like sharing this message to women?
Yeah, that's the whole reason I'm here. So I do this for all the women that have ever felt ashamed of their bodies. I do it for the women that have ever felt shame around their sexuality, who
Mm,
have been judged for the amount of sexual partners they've had, whether it be 0 or 50. For those that haven't felt safe to speak up during sex when something didn't feel good and
mm,
advocate for their own pleasure. I do it for those that don't feel comfortable speaking to their friends, even about their desires and what they wish they had, and about the men that have taken advantage of them. I do it for those that crave to feel sexy, that crave to feel on fire and turned on in their bodies, and know that they have that within them, but just need some help getting it out. So, like I talked about, I struggled with all of those things for a huge portion of my life. And I'm committed to make sure that no one else struggles with that anymore.
mm. I love that. It's so crazy because like to me, the power behind being female lies in almost all of what you just said. Like
Mm,
like say women could run the world.
yeah.
We could. It would be so crazy if everyone was tapped into themselves the way you just described, like
Yeah.
all those different ways. That's
Yeah.
such a powerful message.
You have to be. I mean, even for women that are running, they're in political office or they run huge corporations and are incredibly smart and intelligent. I've heard from a lot of them that they're still not completely satisfied because they haven't allowed themselves to embrace their desires, to the pleasure side of them, to what their body is asking for instead of just their mind.
Hmm.
So it's not enough to just be always working and thinking from the headspace, from your mind. And what is the body asking for? And when you can tap into all of that and embrace all of it and accept all of it and know that it's all what makes you powerful, then your potential just skyrockets.
Do you think that there's been a decrease in like feminine energy overall for women? Like you know how there's like this whole concept behind feminine and masculine energies? What
Mm-hmm.
you just described, like women in power, especially, or like entrepreneurs or business owners, like typically they're known for having a more masculine energy.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like a trend that's happening now for women?
I do. I do. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I don't think anyone is truly happy unless they're fully authentically themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if a really feminine woman tries to suppress her feminine energies because she thinks she needs to be more masculine or to lead a company, or to be the boss of a bunch of men, then she's never going to be really happy because she's always pretending. She's
Mm-hmm.
always trying to be something else. And there's something to be said about being a good leader means, that you can speak to those that you're leading.
Right.
For sure, they need to be able to hear you, but pretending to be something that you're not is never going to lead to happiness.
Right.
And actually, that leads to like pretty severe suffering.
Mm.
So I do think that in our society, there's this idea that the feminine is weak. And so we end up suppressing a lot of our feminine energies, thinking that if we make us submissive or subordinate, and men won't respect us, they won't listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, I fully reject that. I fully reject that because the feminine, particularly together, if we support each other as women, we are powerful. We are freaking powerful if we embrace our feminine energy. Feminine energy is what rules the world.
Yeah.
That like ethereal, soft but powerful energy that just exudes from a woman is what makes men forget everything else to be with a woman.
Yeah.
Literally everything else to just be with her.
Yeah.
It is what rules the world, but we've somehow absorbed this message that it's weak and it makes us submissive. And in fact, I say screw that. Screw that. We are powerful in our feminine energy, and stand on your 2 feet with that and own it. And that's going to come across as, that's going to still give you the control and power that you're looking for.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my gosh, I love it. So awesome. I mean, I really love your message, Emily. I think it's going to resonate, obviously, so closely with women, because this is definitely something women are not talking about. They're not even probably self-aware around it. And so it's very, very new and fresh and needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your support. I love it.
So before I let you go, why don't you share with whoever's watching right now where they can find you if they want more information or like get to know you better on social, like where are you at?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook under Emily Rose, and on Instagram, Emily Rose _feel good naked.
Sweet. Cool, man. Do you, what do you have planned for the day?
Oh, we're gonna talk about my freebie?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had it ready or not. So yeah, if you have a freebie that you're going to offer everyone, go ahead and tell us all about it.
Yeah. So as we've been talking about, so really excited for everyone listening to be able to get freebies from all these interviews. This is really like a huge benefit to you also. So glad April is doing this. So I'm excited for you all to see mine and to experience a little bit of what I offer in my program. So we've been talking about how we typically, as women, really ambitious women, work and live from our head, like from the headspace, from our minds, typically day to day, kind of stuck in there in our to-do list and everything that needs to get done and trying to be better people. But everything is happening from here, the constant, whirlwind of thoughts that are happening. But what my program really focuses on is what's going on in your body. What are your natural desires trying to tell you about yourself? What pleasure spots are just aching to be fulfilled? So in order to get there, in order to even figure out what your body is trying to tell you, you have to turn off the mind for a minute and actually stop talking and connect to the body and allow yourself to hear what your body's trying to tell you. So to do that, in the freebie, I will be giving the first step of that journey of connecting to the body and listening to yourself so that you can uncover what desires have been repressed in order to reach your highest potential.
So juicy. I love it. Definitely going to be opting in for that. That's awesome. So, this will definitely have a link below for anyone who's watching to receive that freebie and get that first step. That's really exciting. I love it.
Awesome.
Yay. Okay, cool. Well, thank you again for being on here with me and for participating in this summit. I'm sure people are going to get a lot out of this interview. So
Thank you so much for having me, April. Really
of
appreciate it.
course. Yes.